Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and thanks for watching my new video. In this video, I am going to share my top 10 foundations with you. I don't know if you saw my stories, but a lot of you replied to my stories because you love my skin so much. Thank you for that. I've actually applied a very tiny, thin layer of foundation and I'm kind of like not really anti full coverage because I love full coverage, but I don't want you to see that it's full coverage. So I kind of like, my new thing is like faking a healthy looking skin. And I feel like so much more confident. And if you come really close, you can't see anything like really on top of my skin. And I don't know, I just feel so much more confident with that type of makeup. So it's kind of like the glass skin makeup tutorial. If you haven't seen that, I'm going to link it in the description box so you can see that. So that's what I've been doing. But that doesn't mean that I don't love my full coverage foundations, because when I would have a party or an event and I can just be super glam, I will use my full coverage foundation. So I'm going to share my top 10 foundations with you, and number one doesn't mean that it's better than number 10 or the other way around. I'm just randomly going to show you guys the foundations and talk a little bit about them. I'm going to try to talk a little bit about them, okay? Because I ramble in every video. The first one that I'm going to show is Born This Way from Too Faced. Now, if you have, I feel like this is for dry skin, combination, oily skin, for every skin type. And I absolutely love how long lasting this is. It's super, I would say full coverage, but it's not like thick and full coverage. It's like the perfect foundation. If you're looking for a full coverage foundation that doesn't show that it's a full coverage foundation, that is not too cakey, the finish is not too dewy, not too matte, but with my dry skin it still feels super comfortable. I can wear this with a very dewy primer and it will look super dewy. If you have oily skin, you can use a little bit more powder, and that way the foundation is going to look matte. But I feel like this foundation is for everyone. It's a very great, perfect foundation, super long lasting, probably the most long lasting foundation I have, I think. Next, I have Lawless Woke Up Like This foundation. Oh, this is such a gorgeous foundation. This is a blurring foundation. I feel like it's also suitable for every skin type. It's I always compare this to the Perfection Lumiere from Chanel. I think that one is discontinued or renewed, but I mean like the older one, maybe like 5 years ago, it was my favorite foundation. It was a little bit illuminating without looking too dewy. So I feel like maybe if you have oily skin, this is going to look a tiny bit dewy, but if you're into that, this foundation is definitely for you. If you have dry skin or normal skin, you're just going to love this one. It's blurring and I really love the glow. It feels like my skin feels hydrated. It's just a really gorgeous foundation, and I think if I would compare this with the Too Faced, coverage wise, I would say maybe both are like the same because they're like super full coverage without looking too full coverage. But this one is way more dewy than the Born This Way. So if you have dry skin, go for this one. I also feel like Lawless is kind of like underrated because I don't know, I love that brand and I feel like everything they launch is really good and I've been really loving them. Next up, we have Divine Matte from Summer Kusami. I love him, I love his work, I love this foundation. The only downside of this foundation is if you want to get it, you have to pay something like $30 to get it because international shipping is quite expensive. And that's because they're based in Lebanon. I think that's the way I say it in English. But it's a matte foundation, and that's quite shocking because, you know, I don't love a matte foundation. But this is Facetune in real life. This is a super blurry, soft focus skin. And you don't have anything dewy going on, but you don't have anything matte going on either. And it doesn't feel matte on your skin. So that's why I've been really loving this foundation. I don't feel anything dry or matte, or like I don't feel resistance on my skin, and especially with like matte foundations I can always feel that. But such a gorgeous foundation. I wish you could have all just try it, but I hope his products will be available soon, maybe in Sephora, because he really deserves that. But really good foundation. Oily skin girls, you're going to love this one. Then we have quite a new favorite of mine. I've been using this for maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. No, a week, I think. It's the Bobbi Brown Skin Foundation. It's a super sheer foundation, a lot of glow, a lot of dew. It's definitely a skin foundation. It's super natural looking, very radiant. And you see those girls in magazines, I know obviously they're like covered in makeup, but it doesn't look like they're covered in makeup. It's just so flawless and natural. It's not going to cover up your spots. I would say it has a like light to medium coverage and you can build it up, but it's not going to cover up your spots. Maybe a little bit of redness. This is for if I have really good looking skin, I will use this foundation or mix it with a very full coverage foundation because this is just going to look so beautiful. Then I have Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. Such a beautiful foundation, but I feel like everyone really loves this foundation. Only downside of this foundation was because I kind of like changed the way I do my foundation and kind of like changed my taste. And that's not even a good sentence, but you know what I mean. Luminous Silk Foundation, the downside of this was that I had to use quite a few pumps to get a little bit more coverage. But now I use just a tiny bit. I would say, yeah, still 2 pumps actually, but it's quite sheer, so don't blame me. It's very liquidy, it's very sheer. And it looks like the Bobbi Brown Skin Foundation because they both have kind of like a blur to it, but this one is definitely a little bit more full coverage. And this is again really nice soft focus effect. Your pores looking way less visible. They're kind of like minimized. Your lines on your face are filled. This is a dream foundation. It's a little expensive though. If I would have a little bit more of a mature skin, I would definitely go for a foundation like this or the Bobbi Brown Skin Foundation. But you know, I love a tiny bit of coverage, so I would use the Luminous Silk Foundation from Armani. It's a really good one. Next we have Givenchy, and this is kind of like, I wouldn't really say it is a foundation, but it says like a blurring foundation balm. Yeah, I would say it's kind of like more of a balm because it's super dewy, glowing, blurring, but it's not like, I wouldn't use this on its own. I love to use this on top of another foundation or to mix my foundation with. It gives that beautiful, I would say, you see, you have moisturizers, right? And then you have like a sheer moisturizer that feels great at the beginning, but you're like, where is it? Because you can still feel some resistance on your skin. And then you have this buttery moisturizer that feels amazing. Your skin feels hydrated. And that is kind of like this foundation balm, because if I mix it with another foundation, I'm like, yes, this is what I was missing. So this one from Givenchy. Then we have, obviously, we have the L'Oreal Infallible Freshwear. I love this foundation. If you haven't seen my video comparing this to another very expensive foundation, which is also my fave, I will show that to you in a minute. But I will link that in the description box so you can check that out. But this is a super good drugstore foundation. It's blurring, it's full coverage, full coverage. It's a little bit more on top of your skin, but kind of like the old me, which is 2 weeks ago, would have loved that. And now I'm kind of like, I think I would wear this on an event. Or I would just use a tiny pump on my hand to get that full coverage. But it's a beautiful foundation, just full coverage, long lasting. I would say not really matte, not really dewy. So I feel like it's suitable for every skin type, but it's a very good foundation for a very good price. Another really good full coverage drugstore foundation is the Superstay from Maybelline. It's probably even more full coverage than the Infallible Freshwear. But actually I didn't even wear this one as often as I would like to because you just get overwhelmed with the foundations. I know it's a very luxe problem, but it's just the way it is. But it's a full coverage foundation. It's not cakey. What you would expect, honestly, from a drugstore very full covering foundation. I would expect some, you know, cake, but it was nothing like that. It's a very good blurring foundation. I would say it's a little bit more, if I would have to choose, it's not really dewy, it's not really matte, but maybe a little bit more matte. And again, I would just mix this one with my other foundations, and or I would just use a tiny bit. I don't have a lot of imperfections going on, so I don't really need to use any like super full coverage foundations. But when I had a problematic skin, I loved using full coverage foundations like these. It's great for oily skin as well, and if you don't want to spend a lot of money, then Maybelline Superstay. We have another drugstore foundation. It's also from Maybelline, but I think you can all guess what it is. And this is the Maybelline Fit Me Dewy and Smooth Foundation. You guys, this is actually, you can compare this to the Luminous Silk from Armani. I said it. I said it. You can compare it in a way that both are dewy. This is a tiny bit more full coverage. It's a little bit more blurring. It's a little bit more thicker and creamy. whereas the Luminous Silk is a little bit more liquidy. And what I mean with a thicker and creamy is just, it's a little bit, it feels a little bit richer on the skin. And the more you apply, obviously, the more coverage you get. I would say that it has a medium foundation and you can build it up. If you have oily skin, I think you should stay away from it. But obviously, you can decide it for yourself. If you really like to look super dewy, then this is a great foundation, but it might be a little too much. If you have dry skin, this is a dream come true. It's a beautiful, blurring, super dewy foundation. Super dewy foundation. Beautiful. I'm really excited about this foundation. And then last but not least, I have Sisley Phyto-Teint Expert. It's French, but I always, all day long, flawless skincare foundation. I found the English version. But I compared this one to the L'Oreal Freshwear foundation, and I really liked both. This one was a little bit more, I would say, like a little bit more natural looking, a little bit more magazine skin, whereas this one was a little bit more, you know, Instagram, YouTube kind of skin, more full coverage, but still super nice, nothing cakey. But I thought, yeah, I really like this one as well. It's blurring, it has soft focus in it, it has skincare in it. I love Sisley skincare, and there are a lot of good ingredients, and also it really makes the skin look so like soft. You get like a soft focus effect, and your skin really looks like skin. Again, if you have a little bit more of a mature skin, this is going to look beautiful because it's going to fill everything and it looks really plump. Not really long lasting. If you have oily skin, maybe you will be a little too oily, because I got a little oily around my nose. And other than that, really nice foundation, but a little expensive. And those were my favorite current foundations. I think I just covered everything. Oily skin, matte finishes, expensive, drugstore, dewy skin, dry skin. I think I covered it all. Let me know what your favorite foundation is, and if you have any recommendations for moi, because I love trying out new foundations together with new lipsticks. I think it's my fave. And let me know if you guys want to see a video similar like this, but with another category of products, because I would love to do that. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell, follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!